Do you want to be the first to master the new legend and any other one? In this guide, I'll teach you how to learn any legend under 24 hours, including the new upcoming legend Catalyst. But first, a massive thank you to Ottr GX for sponsoring this video. Ottr GX has launched a new awesome feature called GX Profiles. You can set up a custom browser specifically for the task at hand. You want to stream, but don't want to show all your private information? They have you covered. Your computer isn't running as well as it used to, and you need a little bit of overhead on your system? You can make a custom browsing profile that's just a basic build of Ottr GX to keep you browsing. Are you in class or like me writing scripts and recording footage and you really need to focus but you keep getting alerts? Ottr GX has you covered with a profile to limit those distractions and to keep you working at your top level. The customization of this browser is absolutely insane. Not only can you set multiple different color schemes of your choice with unlimited possibilities, but you can also have animated backgrounds for your browser. For example, I am currently rocking this awesome One Piece animated wallpaper. Are you dropping frames in game but you're not sure which one of your tabs are causing it? With the hot tab killer, you can easily identify the most resource draining tabs and close them to make sure you keep gaming on your peak setting. With Ottr GX, you can force dark mode regardless of the website. That means that you no longer have to worry about being blinded when you take a break from gaming at 3 in the morning, and you can focus on enjoying your experience. Check out the link in the description to download the best browser I have ever used for PC and mobile. I'll be reading the comments, so let me know what features sold you on Ottr GX. This is the part where I begin to say that I actually do have guides for every legend in the game, so checking those out would be an excellent place to start, but that is legend specific and only covers one part of the learning process, and guides don't really help if you want to learn a legend that's so new that nobody has made any guides on them yet. Whether you're watching a guide covering the legend or not, it's in your best interest to look up exactly how their abilities work. You can get the most up-to-date information by checking out the Apex Legends fandom wiki, which I'll link in the description. This will show all types of information and trivia about the legend, but most importantly, their technical information, such as their abilities, cooldowns, damage, and more. Going through the specifics of the legend's kit will make understanding them a lot easier and might help you get an idea of how you'll use this legend to the best of your abilities. If the abilities in the wiki haven't been updated yet, there's usually a blog post available on EA's website that gets released with the new character's trailer. You should also try to learn what the archetype of the legend you're trying to learn is. There's a few different archetypes, each with their own playstyle, positioning, kit, and role in team compositions. If you are learning an older legend, this is usually already defined, but if you're looking at a new legend, it might not be so easy. If so, make sure to keep this in the back of your head as you're playing around with the kit and throughout the rest of the learning phase. Once you figure out what type of legend you're working with, your decision making can lean one certain way, making it a lot easier to get started. You might also find some value in watching high tier players playing as the legend you're trying to learn, whether it's a new legend or one they have been playing for a while. If they're also picking up said legend for the first time, you may actually notice that they may be following the steps that I'm outlining in this video. I'm not saying they're watching my videos, it's just a proven method of learning as fast as possible. Make a mental note of the decisions that they are making, especially ones that stand out. Maybe consider writing it down if it helps, and bring that knowledge with you as you head into the game yourself. Once you have the numbers, or if the numbers aren't available yet, you'll want to jump into the firing range. You can see very simple ability explanations in Legend Select or in the blog post, but the best way to get an understanding of the kit is simply playing around with it. Experiment with using the abilities, make a mental note of their damage, their cooldowns, their ranges, and their activation time. Try using it against the firing range dummies to see how enemies react to it. If you have a friend, you can experiment on each other. Wait, that's kinda You don't need to spend too much time in the firing range, but make sure that you have a fundamental understanding of how your abilities work and that you're able to quickly summarize how they work and visualize how you can use them in a real game scenario. As far as the learning process goes, we're currently at a really early stage where your goal is to learn the fundamentals of the legend and how you can use them in smaller ways during fights. You might have an inkling of how you'd want to position yourself in a fight and more deeper ideas than that, but right now all you need to focus on is actually being able to use the new legend's abilities and getting used to their different height and overall feel compared to what you normally play. Next up, you're going to want to bring your legend into pubs. If you have friends to queue up with, this will ensure that you get to play the legend, assuming they'll let you, and practice the new legend in a more controlled environment. Focusing on yourself is much easier when you know what to expect from your teammates. Drop as hot as your skill level allows you and practice using your abilities for your teammates and against your enemies. And this is where most people fail. Just because you feel like you have an idea of how you can use the ability in the best way, don't narrow it down to that specific use case and try to push your limits. This is where taking some time in the firing range comes in handy. The extra time that you spent getting an idea of how the ability works down to the core may have given you the knowledge to figure out a unique way that the legend's ability can be used. Sure, it might not be that good, but you won't know until you try. This is called limit testing, and it's the fastest way to not only learning the fundamentals, but becoming the master of any legend, or I guess anything really. Always strive to push outside of your comfort zone. This might be a good stage to dive more in depth about the legend specific cooldowns and how they interact with other abilities. Having your friends playing different legends aids with this, but if you go out of your way to test against enemy abilities in the field, that's an even better way to learn. Many abilities interactions are usually pretty self-explanatory, like for example, the Gibraltar's bubble acts as a wall, meaning that most abilities when put against the bubble will behave the same way they would as if you were throwing it against a wall. And Watson's pylon will eat thrown abilities that would land within its range. While you might have a good idea of how the abilities work on a basic level thanks to the firing range phase, it's still a very good idea to try everything out, because it's not always like it seems. If you're learning a legend with any type of movement abilities, look for rotations that you can make with that additional movement. What height can you jump to? What gaps can you cross? You can experiment with this as you're just playing the game normally and rotating around. This is actually how I got really good at wall hops. I just continued rotating around and wall hopping along the way, and eventually I just got really good at it. You want to play as much as possible, ideally when playing as the legend and facing the same legend, but you might see some value in playing other legends or even playstyles when facing the legend that you want to learn, especially if you're playing legends that are considered a strong counter to the one you're playing, such as Bloodhound or Seer versus a Bangalore or a Caustic. This helps you understand how much of an advantage they actually do have and how you can abuse it or avoid getting abused. Honestly, a large part of legend mastery comes down to mastering the game as a whole. Even if it's established, try using the legend as different roles. Is it a flanker? Is it a fragger? Is it a support? Do you want to play aggressive, passive, or even defensively? At a certain point, when you are really comfortable with the kit, you might even be able to play the legend in an unconventional way to push their limits and either finding out a new way to play them or at least strengthening your skills on the legend. Moving on, not that it's a requirement, you can also decide to bring this legend into ranked and put your skills to the test. At the end of the day, the fastest way to learn is putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, so if you find that your public matches are too easy or just don't push the skills of your legend to the limits, it might be worth bringing them into the ranked environment to put you up against the competition that you normally would face. You'll find out if something is lacking soon enough. If you think that your skills can be improved farther but feel like your improvement is slowing down, you can always consider recording your own gameplay and watching it back. This is a perfect opportunity to watch the high-level player that you were spectating before and drawing parallels between your gameplay. Pro tip, if you watch a high-level player using the legend that you want to learn for one game and actively analyze what they're doing and why, and then immediately watch your own gameplay afterwards, you'll get depressed. And that's because you'll suddenly start seeing what's lacking in your own gameplay, and that really sucks. But it's a good thing because it's much easier to see what you're doing wrong, and you'll figure out how to apply it in your next play session to improve. You can also bring in a third-party coach to help you with this, but I'd personally advise watching high-tier gameplay first, followed by your own gameplay, followed by playing the game, and then implementing what you've learned. Rinse and repeat until you've mastered the legend that you want to play. Learning a legend ultimately comes down to time played, but these are some of the ways that you can use to learn the legend faster than the competition. If you want to learn how to learn specific legends, make sure that you've checked out the playlist on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.